Ange, talk us through this momentum that you seem to be building up just now, and how pleasing it is and encouraging it is.
Yeah, look, it's certainly encouraging, particularly I guess for the players. They're the ones putting in the hard work, and sometimes progress can be measured in different ways, and from my perspective, I've seen the players really trying to adapt to the way we want to play, but it's only when you get the rewards that you can really build belief. And from that point of view, it has been encouraging, both from, I guess, within the football club, but externally with our supporters as well. And that creates sort of a nice little foundation now for us to continue down this road.
This weekend you play St Mirren. Their manager Jim Goodwin is going to miss the game because of he's self-isolating. Does that sum up the dangers that is still about in terms for football and COVID? And do you give your players any guidance on vaccinations, etc.?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're under no illusions. We live that experience every day. I mean, even here at training, the whole place is set up to limit contacts, to make sure we're all doing the right things, following the protocols. It's still very much part of daily life, and it's very, very important in our sporting world as well, because we know that we've got to be ultra diligent in what we do. So I mean, you try and live as normal as you can, but we have constant reminders around here that it's very much part of our world still.
Do you encourage players to take the vaccine, or is that something that you leave it to individual choice?
Yeah, no, look, that's not my field. We've got medical professionals, and the players are well educated in these areas, and what we do know is that there are certain protocols that are in place, and we make sure that everyone follows them diligently.
Hi, Ange. Just on your philosophy, I mean, you mentioned the relationship with supporters. They seem to be really buying into what you're trying to achieve at the club. You mentioned that's crucial as well. I just wonder, how many more gears do you think this team are going to go up until you see your philosophy in full? I mean, is there more gears to go in that?
Oh yeah, of course there has to be. I mean, we're only at the beginning. I mean, it's great, but it was probably maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, people were probably questioning what I was doing. So, we're still very much at the beginnings of what we want to try and create here, and what I want to try and create, irrespective of whether that progress is perceived to be quick or slow. It's going to take time to build the squad we want, to play the football we want on a consistent basis, to deal with the inevitable challenges that are before us. Every year there's different challenges, and as I said, for me, it's still very much the beginnings. But I've said from day one that doesn't discount the responsibility I have to bring results to the football club. We have some very important games early in the season. In the calendar, we knew that Champions League, now Europa League Cup games. We wanted to start the league well. All these things are really important, so that those things can't wait till I sort of build and implement the overriding philosophy that I want to. So it's a balancing act, but we're still very much at the beginnings.
You mentioned there that people may have been sceptical about what you were trying to do even just a couple of weeks ago. Does it show you that people just needed a bit more patience and allow you to implement what you need to do here?
No, it's just the world we live in, mate. We live in an instant world where everything from analysis to feedback is pretty instant. The good old days, I used to wait for Monday's papers to come out. Now the analysis is happening while the game's going on, so you kind of know that people get swayed by sometimes opinion. What I will say though is that the supporters have been encouraging right from the beginning. I've never felt like they wanted things to go well, and were looking at it from an optimistic point of view, which kind of helps me in implementing what I want to do. And certainly that was the player that was the players' attitudes, that there wasn't a lot of scepticism. They were quite open-minded about what we wanted to do. So, but that can change in 2 weeks again. So you're always aware of that, and that's why for me the progress is what I see internally and what we do. Playing the game, and our progress, or the sort of trajectory of our progress, will always be in the hands of others to judge.
Hi, Ange. Appreciate it's an almost daily bulletin we're asking from you just now. But in terms of transfers, you said you were close to a couple of deals. What update can you give us? Josip Juranovic, if reports are to be believed, that's almost done. Can you just bring us up to speed on that front?
Yeah, no, the almost done. The news is still almost done. I've got nothing sort of further, and again, I'd love to be able to say that we've brought somebody else in, but we're not quite there yet. Obviously, the clock's ticking, as I said. That we know when the transfer deadline is in, and we will be bringing in players before then. But to say that another deal's been done, it hasn't as yet. So, but we're close. We're close on a number, and hopefully over the coming days we'll be able to sort of bed them down and bring them in.
Speaking to you a lot about transfers, we're also talking a lot about Kyogo, the way he's hit the ground running. He's just adapted to Celtic and Scottish football so well. Seeing the way he has adapted, does it tempt you to maybe look back at the Japanese market again, a market you know obviously so well, and especially given that signing players from EU countries seems to be more problematic than perhaps it used to be? Does it tempt you back towards maybe looking at the J-League?
It doesn't need to tempt me. I've been looking at it very closely. I know, as you said, I know the Japanese market very well. It's also a tricky time because, traditionally they're still sort of mid-season, and there's a lot of players I'd love to sort of have a look at closely and bring over, but I know it will be almost impossible to get them out because clubs are still playing for whether that's league or cup or Champions League competition, so they're very reluctant to let them go sort of mid-season, and traditionally it's always been easier to get them out sort of in our winter break, which is their end of season. So it is a market I know well, and I think there's a lot of talent there that still people haven't realised. That's not to say they're all going to be at Kyogo's levels, because I was super confident about. I mean, he's dominated that league for the last 3-4 years. I was surprised he hadn't left earlier, to be honest. He was just sort of, we were kind of lucky that he had stuck around for a bit. But there's definitely more talent there, and it's definitely a market we're looking at closely.
And it's just team news wise, is Ryan Christie available, and are you going to be able to maybe give a couple of players a wee bit of a rest on Saturday at all?
Yeah, Ryan's good. He trained last couple of days, and he's ready to go. And and everyone sort of pulled up okay after the game. It was a pretty punishing game, to be fair. So there's probably still a couple of sore bodies in the group. So I'm going to give them right up until tomorrow, to squad wise, to see how people are. But we'll probably make one or two changes. Who that's going to be at the moment, well, I'm kind of keeping an open mind about it. But yeah, it's good to have Ryan back in the group. And he's certain to play a part tomorrow.
Can I ask you about a couple of players who featured in pre-season and get injured? Karamoko Dombele and Mikey Johnson. How are they getting on? And do you see them kind of supplementing the squad in the near future?
Yeah, both really unfortunate with their injuries. Karamoko is probably he's a bit of a long-term one, so he's a fair bit away in terms of rehab. Mikey's getting closer. He's working hard at training, and we're kind of hoping post international break he'll be able to join the group and begin training. We're obviously got to be a little bit careful with him, but both wingers, both exciting kind of players that I think will fit into the style of play that we want to play. So keen to have them back involved, obviously, but with all these things we just got to be guided a little bit by the medical team and by the players themselves, because what we want to do is get them back and get them back playing regularly rather than them having any more setbacks.
Hi Ange, I was just taking a look at the Scotland under-21 squad that was announced earlier on. Stephen Welsh is in there again. I mean, you've obviously managed at international level. Is he the type of player, does he have the makings of a future senior international footballer? Yeah,
there's no reason. I mean, it's a tricky one. Like you said, I've been involved in national teams, from 17s, 20s, and then obviously senior. And, there's a lot of really exciting young talent that came through 17s, 20s, never really quite cracked it at senior level, which surprised me. Others who you thought might struggle just develop later. So it just depends really. But what I can say about Welsh is that he's, every game he's improving. He wants to learn. He wants to get better. There's massive upside in him, and we're challenging him as a young player to take some real responsibility because of the way we play and the nature of the games he's playing at the moment, there's some pretty high pressurised situations we're putting him in, and so far he hasn't let us down, and that's his test. Every time he gets pushed up a level, whether that's with us or national team, then he's just got to keep pushing to that next layer so that he can get his potential. But I'm delighted for him. I think it's a well-deserved call-up, and I'm thrilled with how he's going at the moment.
With there being 2 big games next week, is the most important thing about this weekend is no one takes this game for granted, no one's overlooking it and has any eyes on what's to come next week?
Oh, I'd be very surprised if anyone's taken anything for granted here. Like I said, the world and the football world particular changes pretty quickly, and once you take something for granted, you'll get a pretty quick reminder that you get brought back down to earth pretty quickly. But I haven't sensed that at all with this group at the moment. I think the key thing for us, they're enjoying their football, they're getting the rewards, and for the most part, none of them want to miss out. And that's a good thing for me. That's also part of the battle is, when I ask them how they're feeling, they're all buzzing. Yeah, they want to play, but I kind of know that there must be a couple who are feeling a bit sore. But I think when you have that sort of attitude and enthusiasm, it's unlikely they're going to go in there looking for an easy game. I think they're going in there looking to play our football, improve our football, and make sure that we don't stand still at any moment.